Hi everyone, this is Lisa Marie from Artistry by Lisa Marie. Welcome to the studio. Okay, last time I did the background on this image, or the underpainting, you might also want to call it. So I used distressed ink and I did the background and then I spritzed a little bit of water on it to get this awesome effect. And then for the skin tone and the hair for the underpainting, I used these two right here. I used Fire Brick as an underpainting for the skin tone, and then Salty Ocean for the hair. Just a nice bit of color that I could put down quickly, fairly easily. Followed the grayscale drawing to map out or block out the shadows. Now that it's all dry, I can start using some colored pencils. So today, sorry, trying to get this. I'll start with the skin tone. And what I'm going to do is go right back to those shadows and start blocking out the shadows a little bit more with my colored pencils. And when I start planning a color palette, I like to start with a dark, medium, and light. And then I really go from there. I really expand my palette to include lots of other colors. And what I'll do, if you want to use this same color palette for the skin tone and everything else, I'll include a list of the exact colors I'm using in the video description, so you don't have to guess. I'll include everything for you. I love this line that I drew right here. I think that's just a very nice, striking line. Sorry, it's the little things sometimes when I'm going back over one of my drawings. It's the little things that make me happy. Of course, and there's plenty of other times when I go back and look at a drawing that I did and go, oh no, that was not good. Just blocking out the colors. And I'm applying my colors instead of in strokes, in small little circles. So it doesn't leave too much of a pencil mark, really. And it'll blend very nicely. Just blocking out my shadows still. Someone recently messaged me, actually, asking about layering color pencils and how I do it. Good questions. They were like fantastic questions. You could tell they really put a lot of thought into like the whole thing. And I had to tell them, because they were looking at a lot of my time-lapse videos, and they asked how long it actually takes, and I had to explain it like a really, really, really long time. Like the more layers you do, the more time it takes. His lips. And then a nice crisp ear. Keep some of those nice crisp shadow lines. So we have the shadow on his neck here. I'm just going to blend it a bit. And then here's his jawline. It's a weird angle. But this is the jawline. I know. And this bit of a shadow where his beard is showing a bit. The thing with beard shadows on the jaw is you have two options. Either you're going to go with the colors that you put in the hair and lean into that palette, or you're going to go with the colors of the skin tone and lean into that palette. So you have to kind of choose which color palette is going to be a bit heavier or stronger. Helps to plan ahead a bit for that. Okay, so we've blocked out some nice shadows there. I want to get that shadow a little bit darker. I was excited to do pencils this time because last time I was doing the distressed ink and doing a lot of dabbing. That's how I apply it for this underpainting, especially with the skin tone. You know, lots of dabbing, and it was making the camera shake too much. It was really annoying me. I was getting motion sickness. So I don't know if I'll be recording like that again when I'm doing dabbing. I'll have to figure out something else. Because if it annoyed me, I'm sure it'll annoy someone else. And the whole point of, you know, doing videos like this is to have fun and share, not give everyone motion sickness. I love the button nose right here. I like strong noses or pronounced noses. I always think they make faces a lot more interesting when they're super strong. Same with bone structures. I like strong bone structures too. I draw a lot of faces, a lot of portraits. Actually, mostly though, I draw pet portraits, you know, lots of things with animals. And one thing I've noticed is pets are the same way as people. You know, some of them have really pronounced, you know, bone structures and facial proportions. And others have very, very soft, gentle bone structures and facial proportions. All right. So I actually mixed two darker pencils together to get that. Oh, I forgot the guy. I'm so busy focused on the woman. And that's how I'm making the shadow color that I wanted for these skin tones. Just blending two colors together here on the paper. Impressionist artists did that a lot. They blended their colors right on, you know, the canvas instead of, you know, blending their colors, their paints on a palette. And the nice part about doing that is when you blend the colors right on the paper or right on the canvas, you get some very nice striking colors, and it also speeds up the whole process. The drawback to that, of course, is if you don't know what the colors are going to look like when you blend them together, then it's a surprise. Okay, So there's my two darks. And I'll write down the colors for you all in the video description. But those two darks were, let's see, they were Imperial Violet and Black Cherry. So a nice mix of those dark colors. Now I'm going to go more for the mid-tone, which is Sienna Brown in this instance. And I'm going to go right over those shadows that I just blocked out with my mid-tone. Again, little circles. And now this area around the hair right here that I didn't block into a darker shadow, this is where I'm going to put some of the mid-tone. Hop around a little bit here. And the mid-tone, I don't know, I think of it as a bridge. It connects the dark areas to the lighter areas. It connects them visually and in terms of blending. I apologize, my voice is a bit rough today, still getting over being sick. The real relief for me is that my kids are feeling better because they were sick too. It is not easy having two sick small children. With upset tummies. That was rough. Okay. So here, this little thing right here, I want to make sure I get a nice shadow under there. That thing being the nose. Right? And you can really, I think, get a sense here, even though it's the first couple layers of color, get a sense of the volume of the shape of the face. Once you get those midtones in there, you can really see how it'll fill in, I think. I think anyway. It'll take a couple more layers, you know, to really get it. And the bottom layers, just like the underpainting, they can be rough. They're supposed to be rough. You're supposed to be a bit gentle, I think, because that way you don't fill in all the tooth of the paper. Tooth being texture of the paper. The more tooth or texture paper has, the more layers of color you can plop on there. This paper actually is Ohuhu multimedia paper. I'll put the link in the video description so you guys don't have to wonder what the heck I just said. And it's pretty sturdy stuff. And I used it in this instance because I knew I was going to do a lot to this image. It was going to take a bit of a beating with the ink and the water and now the colored pencils, and in a little bit I'm going to be doing also markers so on this image. So I needed paper that I knew could survive me, and not all paper can survive me. Get some more there, here. Ears are fun. Look at all the crevices in ears. Alright, and here's that jawline again. And I'm going to allow, see how it's a little bit lighter right there, right where his face is touching hers. Um, I want a little bit of a contrast there, so I don't want them to just blur together into one big dark section. This was a nice strong nose. So here's that. And then for her lips, I'm going to take a little bit of this medium and get that there. Okay. Next, I'm going to go for my second medium tone, slightly lighter, orange. It is literally just called orange. It's pretty straightforward. Again, I started with a dark, medium, and light when I was planning the palette, and then I expanded from there. So now I'm going to go back over again. Little circles. Blending, blending, blending. Still trying to be gentle with the application, trying to not press too hard, so that way I don't go too dark too fast. This is actually playtime for me. I have a custom portrait order that I was working on earlier today, but in order to do a custom portrait, I have to, measure facial proportions and map out, a composition, and a lot of work to it. So I did all that earlier today. But then there's a point where I have to email. I call it it's the preliminary sketch, after I do all of that. So I have to email the preliminary sketch to my customer. And this gives them an opportunity to, really get more of an idea of what the portrait's going to look like and the layout of the whole thing. And then for me, it's kind of a waiting period because I don't want to go any further until I hear back from my customer and just, receive a confirmation from them that they've seen that preliminary sketch. Because that's often where I'll get a lot of questions. What's that blank area going to be? What about color? Because sketches aren't just in black and white. What is that? What is that textured thing in the corner? And then I'll be like, that's their blanket, that's their ball. Because sketches are just that. They're a quick sort of plan. They're an artistic plan to visually show the customer, what's going to happen next. And I like to involve my customers, when they place a custom order. I want them to, really know what's in the works and, just make sure they're happy. So I emailed the preliminary sketch over, and now I'm waiting. So this is my fun waiting activity, coloring with all of you today. And in case anyone is wondering, yes, you do have to measure exact facial proportions in pet portraits. Because all pets, all animals, just like people, have exact facial proportions. So a lot of measuring, remeasuring, triple measuring, a lot of measuring. All right. And I didn't do much with his forehead because his forehead, in terms of shading, I mean, His forehead is right where the light is, bam, hitting. So it's going to be a lot lighter, but I will do a little more of color now to get the volume. Go. And her lips, a little bit more. Go. All right. Next, so we have these colors. This is where I really expanded the color palette. So the next color is actually red. Crimson red, actually. So it is not part of the original dark, medium, light color palette that I planned out. It's an extension of the color palette. And this is where I go for certain areas. I'm not going to go all over like I did before. Here, I just want touches of this color to go in certain parts of the face. And yes, that was my phone. I keep my phone on while my kids are away. Just in case, they need me. Being a mom is a 24/7 job. So here you can see, again, still underpainting. We're still just building up our colors, building up the palette, but adding that red, this crimson red, to certain areas. It's going to help. And yes, I know it kind of looks like a clown face when you first add red to the tips of the nose and such. He's not going to be as rosy as she is, but we will add a bit of red to certain areas of his face as well. Under here. Definitely in the ear. You ever look at someone's ears? Ears are exceptionally red sometimes. That ready here. Not too much though. All right. So that was a pretty rich crimson darker red. And now I'm going to go with poppy red, which has a bit more of a orangish red. And I'm going to blend it right over that crimson red that I just put down. Still being gentle, but because of all the orange tones that I already have going on here, it'll help blend the reds a bit more naturally with the other oranges I already have going on in the color palette. And because it's a more orange red, I can expand where I put it. I don't have to be as precise as that crimson red. More blending, do a little bit right there, that'd be fun. line of the ear. A little bit of volume there. It's very thin though, isn't it? I should draw bigger ears. Huge. Fun. Okay. So now we have our dark, medium, and light. Next, this is a light peach. Oh, I'm sorry, we had a dark and a medium, and then the accent red tones. And now this is the light. Oh wait, I've got like a something there. Okay. So this is the light peach. And I'm going to, again, blend my colors together. Right on the paper. Going right over, you know, where I have my darks and my mediums, again, the little circles. Instead of heavy pencil strokes. And I think you can tell now, really on her forehead especially, where I just did it, you can see how the dark, medium, and light here are blending together. I think you can see that. Get that part of her nose. I like that nose. Oh no! Did you guys see that? I pressed on way too hard. That's on me. I say be gentle, and then I don't do as I say. Try again. Do as I say, not as I do. Be gentle with your pencils. Okay. Luckily, I have a pencil sharpener at hand. The excitement of coloring. Alright, now we're gonna go blend right over here. And I chose the light peach because it has elements of red in it, but it's not pink. So there's a bit of yellow or orange in this particular color. So it has elements of the other colors in the light peach. So it makes it a really good blending color or light color for this palette. Getting around the hair a little bit. I like her hair. Get this a little bit. And here, just like by his face, here, I didn't push the shadow all the way to the edge. I kept a nice line of lighter coloring. Sometimes that's called reflective lighting. But also I just like having the lighter coloring as a contrast against the darker shadows. then right in those lips, in the crease lines here of her lips, which go up and down instead of side to side, vertical instead of horizontal, I'm actually going to go with those crease lines. Keep that slight bit of texture in the lips. I like texture, in case you couldn't tell from all the videos that I do, where I'm always talking about texture. I like texture. There we go. Little circles, blend, blend, blend. One of the other problems with, other than waiting, with doing the custom portraits um, is I can't show them when I'm working on them. I can't show them, as I'm working on them, live and all that stuff, because often they're gifts, they're presents for people, and I don't want to ruin the surprise. I would feel terrible if I ruined, someone's birthday surprise and somehow, the recipient, for whatever reason, saw the video beforehand. Would say that looks like my dog. It's actually a thing for me because I want to show everyone what I'm working on, as I'm working on it, and also it gives me something to, share from the studio. So I'm not just silent for weeks while I'm working on stuff. But I can't show you guys the custom portrait stuff until, it's shipped out and I'm sure that it's been, delivered or given as the gift. So Christmas time, that's the thing. I get a bunch of Christmas orders, of course, because I mean they are just fantastic Christmas gifts. So I'll be working forever on the custom portraits, and I can't show any of them until January sometimes, or after Christmas. But right after Christmas, I'm exhausted. Everyone else is exhausted. So I don't always have the energy to, get the videos up right after Christmas to show everyone. That's looking good. All right, not done. Next is going back over some of these sections, believe it or not. So I want to take, come on, it was stuck, it was fighting me. My Sienna Brown, again. Just want to push some of these areas a bit more. Areas of shadow, push some of the creases in the eyes. Shadows in the cheeks. That curve of the nose. And yeah, here in this one thin part of the ear, I just do that swooping line. A little more blending. Then, come on. This is the black cherry. So one of the darker colors, actually the dark color that I started with. And I'm going to push some of the shadows and the darker lines now, especially around the nose. And pushing the shadow helps push that feel, that sense of volume. Makes it feel a bit more three-dimensional. Visually, it makes it more interesting too. Okay. Take that crimson red again. I want the cheeks a little more rosy. And the lips. A little bit more red. And that's another reason why, I say don't go too dark too fast, don't press down too hard, all that good stuff. Because that way, you don't fill up the tooth of the paper, so you can always go back and add another layer of color or a top layer of color over everything. Get the poppy red, blending that crimson, and everything else. Go in those lips. Whenever I say poppy red, all I can think of is the Wizard of Oz. Do you remember the Wicked Witch going, poppies, poppies will put them to sleep? That's all I can think of. Is poppy flowers putting Dorothy to sleep. All right. Light peach. A little more blending. And then for the teeth, it's very faint. I don't know if you can see it in the video, but there are teeth lines. So I'm just going to do this with my light peach. I mean, you don't want to give her like brown teeth or yellow teeth. So just very, very gently going to add a little bit of shading on the teeth, but the white of the paper is going to help carry that one this time. line on the ear. Is it bad? I think the ear is the most interesting part of this guy. Okay. Visually. Just a little bit of the shadow. There you go. Very natural beauty in her face with the lip color there. Sometimes I really like a very bright red. Sorry, I wanted to blend that a little more. Very bright red color in the lips. Other times I just take the, color palette that I already have and just do that for the lips. Okay, let's do it. I'm gonna do a little bit of highlight with the white pencil. We push our shadows. So might as well push our highlights too. Just the very top of this arch here, or curve. And then him. His face is a bit more exposed to the light. So I'll just do this, basically this whole contour of his face. Some white, this whole area. Have some white. Edge of the ear. There you go. Alright. Always have a white on hand just in case you want to push your highlights. Next is the hair. And I don't use black colored pencils. I don't like them. I think they make things very flat. I only use them if I really need to push black into the ultra dark zone. I think they just flatten out the image too much. Instead, I use indigo blue. Can you feel how strongly I feel about just a plain black pencil? And for this, first of all, I'm going to make sure I don't lose this beautiful contour line right here. Get that. She has fantastic texture in her hair. And so I'm not going to apply the color in just straight lines. I mean, that would be ridiculous. I would lose all of her beautiful hair. So instead, I'm going to block out the shadows of her hair in, you could do small circles, you can do more zigzag lines. A combination of both would work well. And remember, the underpainting I used was the blue here. So I already have the color started. I already blocked out the colors in the shadows. Or, let's see here. Now I just want to really push it with my pencils. And if you notice, when I did the background, I let the colors, you know, just bleed naturally, and so they bled into parts of the heart, and that is okay. That's perfect. I like that effect. So I'm not going to push the hair too far. I already have a nice, how it's sort of fading into the blue. So I'm not going to worry too much about, you know, perfection and precision. I just want to make sure I keep the movement in this beautiful hair. And then she has some here. So we're going to do this. Go. That beautiful line of her hair there. Look at that. All right, and then keeping with that blue theme we've got going on, here's the Ultramarine and the Indigo blue. Go away. That Indigo blue was so dark and rich. Um, it's just that perfect dark underlayer of color, and it'll help any colors that go over it naturally be a lot darker. I'm just gonna quickly go back over that. And you can really see, I think, at this point, how the colors, these dark blues together, are blending. But the way that I'm applying the color helps keep that feel of texture. Because we don't want to smooth this out. We want the hair to keep its uniqueness. Go. All right. Then I am going to do a brown. It's dark brown. Um, and this will slightly warm up the hair, the color of the hair. So here. And this can go into those lighter sections of the hair. We've been blocking out the shadows. This can go right into those lighter areas. So this is actually the mid-tone, the medium color in the palette. And this I am applying in, instead of zigzaggy lines, more in little circles. We're not losing those shadows. We're just filling in the medium area, the midtones. I keep looking over and checking my messages to see if my customer got back to me. I am not good at waiting. When I want to hear back from a customer, patience is not my strong suit. Part of it is just the, when you create something, create a work of art, you're really putting yourself out there, even if though it's a custom, portrait order. Anytime you put something you've created out into the world, you're kind of putting yourself out there and, exposing yourself to, being criticized. It's a very vulnerable time when I send a preliminary sketch to a customer. And I await with bated breath. Okay, here is the lighter color. Lighter blue, this one is Caribbean Sea. Caribbean Sea? Caribbean Sea? Someone tell me which way I'm supposed to pronounce that. And now, just like that medium tone, we are going to apply with those circles. But because we did the zigzag lines in those with those two darker colors, we are not going to lose that texture. We're not going to lose our blocked out shadows. I think that's another reason why I do coloring while I wait for customers to respond to me, because it's very relaxing. Coloring is soothing for me, and I need to sort of relax a bit while I'm waiting. There are many health benefits to coloring, but for me, it's definitely the relaxing part that I really color for. I mean, don't get me wrong, I love coloring or drawing the custom portraits. I love the challenge of it. I love the joy that it gives my customers. But it's very precise. It's very demanding. And when I color, I can just have a lot more fun with it. Okay, so we have the dark, medium, and light. What I'm going to do is go back with my indigo blue and just push certain areas that I want to just be a little bit darker. Again, it'll make it visually more interesting. See this line right here? I really like that line, so I'm gonna emphasize it. A little extra shadow. I'm doing a mix of the zigzag lines and the little swirls now. Go. It doesn't have to be all over. I'm just trying to really get those shadows in certain areas to be a bit darker. And then here, push the shadows again. Oh, come out a little bit. Thank you. Then, because I pushed the shadows, I'm going to push my highlights, my white. So I don't want to make her hair white, obviously. I don't want to take away all the color and all the texture. So I'm just going to do little bits of white highlight with squiggly lines, of course, or little circles. Sloppy circles, is that what you would call them? And that'll help provide the contrast to make the shadows look even darker. Not a lot, just little touches. And then for his hair, doing them differently. Same color palette, same colors. I'm being very consistent with my colors today, but you know, his hair is different from hers, obviously. So instead of the beautiful zigzag lines and textures, I'm just going to do very, very gentle application of color. And not a lot, because I like the bleeding of the colors that I already have going on. Don't want to interrupt that too much. There's that one. Then, and it's the exact same colors, exact same color palette. I'm not going nuts with that. Push that shadow. Very gentle. See how my hand is a little bit further back from the tip of the pencil. That's so I don't press down too hard. When your hand is closer to the tip of a pencil, you will naturally press harder. When your hand is further away from the tip of a pencil, it's a lot easier to be very, very gentle in your application of color. And I have a penchant for pressing down very hard, so I have to make an effort to not press down too hard. And that's the brown, which will warm up the whole thing. And this, because of his hairstyle, I'm actually going to blend it a bit with the skin. I'm not going to stay strictly in that hairline with this warmer brown. I'm going to blend it a bit, soften it. Yep. And then the lighter color, that light blue. Come on. And I think this is actually a great example of how, you know, it's the same color palette, but applied in a completely different way has a completely different look. And I think that is just so fun. This is that light blue, which actually blends in nicely with that blue, so woohoo! Just a nice light blending. And then eyebrows. I'm going to take the medium color, medium tone, and eyebrows are important. Never forget eyebrows. You ever seen those pictures where someone photoshopped someone's eyebrows off of their face? They look very silly. It's funny, but never forget eyebrows. I'm just applying little dashes there. They're quick, they're easy. Now we have some of that. Next, okay, we did our skin tone, we did the hair. I'm gonna put that away. We are transitioning to the heart. Okay, so now I'm going to use Ohuhu markers, which is very fitting since this is Ohuhu paper, multimedia paper. Very proud of myself for that, for planning ahead that well. All right, first I'm going to have a dark and medium green, grass green, and anise, for those who are wondering. And I'm going to start, get the cap off, with my leaves here. I should do it this way. I'll be showing you guys. Just letting the colors of those markers bleed together. And I'm actually really curious to see next to that distressed ink, it is looking great. I like it. I like blendable markers. I think they're fun. And I will put a little bit of colored pencil over the markers. Just for some more fun effect there. This is where the fine tip really comes in handy when you're doing detail work. In a design. There's my greens. Next, we're going to have some red. So I went with Geranium and Vermillion red. Get these started. I hold the caps away from the paper when I take them off. Once, just once, I didn't do that. And when I opened the cap, I got little flecks of marker ink all over the page I was working on, and it was devastating. It was not the effect I was going for. Uh, so ever since then, I always open caps away from the paper. There we go. This is a fun, so you can see how, the colors of the markers are blending with the ink underneath. And that's a fun example of how, underpaintings really do matter. I mean, they really do have a impact on all the colors put over them. Kind of like how the underpainting, the blue in her hair, any colors that I used would have had a much cooler look. Instead of being a warm undertone, it was a very cool undertone, cold. Makes a big difference. I like doing a dark and light when I do stuff like this. Um, Visually, it makes it just a bit more interesting, a bit more fun, instead of just doing one solid color. Still haven't heard back from the customer. It's almost like they, have lives to live. Like they're busy. Weird. Uh, go. That red really pops. That's something about red. Um, I love how it stands out. Red is one of those colors that just draws the eye without much effort. It doesn't have to work hard. You don't have to work hard to make a red stand out in a composition or in a coloring. Almost there. All right. Oh, I missed two. Of course. All right. Now I think I got them. Nope, I missed another one. Oh my gosh, how many things did I draw? I don't make my designs perfectly symmetrical, so sometimes that makes it a little more interesting and fun to color. All right. I don't like perfect symmetry. I'm not good with perfect symmetry. I don't think anything is as fun when everything's perfectly symmetrical. All right, so the next two are yellows, and I have one yellow and barium yellow. Again, pulling the caps off away from the paper because I'm paranoid about splatter. And this. Do some little quick dashes. Then move my maul stick to support my hand when I do this part. This is my maul stick. It's a wooden stick with a cloth ball at the end. Excellent for supporting the arm and the wrist. They've been around for a long time. I can't remember off the top of my head if it was the 16th or 17th century artists started to really use them, but they've been around for quite a while. And they're super easy, low-tech solution to a very common artistic problem, which is supporting your arm and wrist while you work. All right. Then gotta get my pencils back. And nothing too fancy. Just got a lighter pencil here, a peach. And I'm just gonna get a little bit of highlight right over the marker for a fun bonus effect. Yes, I was checking again to see if my customer got back to me. I do know that they have lives. I understand that. Bouncing around a bit here. Nice long shape right here. All right, and then the green, have a pale sage. Just gives it a little more sense of volume. More shape. In this area, I can do some of this for some extra blending, which is fun. Then for the yellow, I have a cream. Cream is a fantastic light color, light yellow color. I use it frequently, the cream, this color. I use it quite frequently, really, when I want to get a light yellow. You guys, just go around like this. Little halo or circle of light coloring. There we go. Then, not done yet, not done yet. I need this guy. This is my paint marker, and I will also be opening the cap pointed away from the paper. And I'm making sure the paint's coming out. Either the paint sprays or it doesn't come out at all. There's always going to be something, so it's good to double check. Then you want to get some nice highlights for whatever reason. Just want a nice highlight effect. This is the way to do it. Doesn't take much, but it'll really help certain shapes stand out, pop a bit. I'm not being too precise with, you know, the sense of lighting or anything like that. Just gives it a different sort of feel. And as we all know, I like texture variety. So this gives some texture variety. Dot, dot. And it emphasizes the movement of the shape when you add some of these super white highlights. And since, you know, I'm not going for realism in an abstract design here, so it's okay to do some of this bright white highlighting. This. Just quick dashes. I love this paper. Look how well it's taking all of these different mediums. That is so fun. It's one of the reasons why I print my coloring pages myself. I do printable coloring pages. I'm very particular about paper. I want to make sure that it's something that will survive me. Not everything will survive me. So I like to make sure that the paper I use is strong enough. I'll stick to the rescue. There we go. Okay, well, that is it for today. Thank you so much for joining me in the studio. Remember to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss the next video, and stay creative. Bye!